So what are some of the sources of funding for our technology startup? Some of the sources of funding that are most common include, well, bootstrapping, where you are putting in the money yourself. It could be savings, credit cards, home equity loan. This is the way that Linode was started back in 2003 by Chris Ager. The benefit is that you have 100% control of what is best for your company and best for your customers, without having to answer to investors. Although bootstrapping may not be a viable option if speed to market is an imperative. Friends and family is another source of investment capital. This is actually how I started my first company. But you really need to make sure they understand that this is a risky endeavor, and they may not get their money back. They're investing in you after all, and it might not work out. So you don't want to ruin your relationships just over a business idea. Just make sure you formally document any investments. There are easy to use grant documents you can download so your investors feel comfortable giving you the money, and that if there is a success with the business, that they'll get a good return. Another option is crowdfunding, like friends and family, but taken to another level. Some examples include Kickstarter or Indiegogo, GoFundMe. WeFunder is another cool option. Tend to work better for consumer-based ideas where a large number of people can grasp the idea. And they also tend to work better if you can show them something, like an initial product prototype or a service idea that they can really see. Much easier than trying to pitch a narrow B2B use case that may be more difficult for people to understand or relate to. The next one would be angel investors. I've worked with a number of angel investors over the years, either as a new business owner or a co-founder, or as an entrepreneur in residence. These investor groups typically invest in a particular region, or they invest in a particular category or industry. Sometimes they're a group of individual investors that are pooled together, or they are run by city or state governments. Angel investors typically invest anywhere from $50,000 to a couple of $100,000. In return for the money, they do take an equity stake, but typically agreements allow you to pay it back over time to recover the equity. Also, they typically have a strong network and startup experience that can be invaluable when launching your business. And then there is venture capital, which can come in all shapes and sizes. There's venture capitalists that are good at giving you money, and that's really about it. Then there are VCs that will provide all kinds of services, including access to advisors, strategic customers, and vendor relationships. And some that even have recruiting teams to help portfolio companies find the best talent. For instance, I worked with a firm called OpenView Ventures up in Boston that had a whole team of on-call advisors that would help individual department heads test assumptions and make decisions faster. Super helpful. Some venture capital firms target companies at different stages of growth, such as Series A, B, C, or beyond. This typically comes down to different thresholds for the investments themselves. Some may invest from $1 to $3 million, while others won't invest anything less than $10 million, and then some $50 million and above. One of the great early stage VCs is First Round Capital, headquartered here in Philadelphia. What's really cool about them is they connect you with this whole community of startup leaders in their network. It's an incredible asset to be able to ask the network nearly any kind of business question and get dozens of answers from other startup executives in minutes. Finally, you can always get a bank loan. Now you need to be careful with the bank loans because you really have to understand what your path to repayment is. If you have high confidence that you can pay back the loan, then it could be a good fit for you. Just keep in mind that you will have to capitalize the loan. And you don't want to risk something like your house if you think there's a real risk that you might not be able to pay it back on time.